Hey, hello leaders, and welcome back to another video version of the recording of me recording the podcast, Run to Your Leadership Challenges. And today is episode number 370, and we're going to talk about leadership communication challenges, but it's going to take a little bit of a twist here because I'm going to talk about language barriers, and language barriers don't necessarily mean that you're speaking different languages, because I'm going to explain how we can have language barriers when two people are speaking English. And I'm going to explain that a little bit in detail, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to determine or how to speak each other's language a little bit more clearly. So with that said, I am going to jump right in, and you're going to get some special extra value at the very end. So I'm going to hit record. You'll hear about 4 seconds of silence, and then I'll start recording, or I'll start the episode. Hello leaders, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So let me ask you, have you ever had communication challenges at work or at home for that matter? Well, if so, today I want to talk about the challenge of communication, but I want to talk about it with a little bit different twist. So communication is probably the most common breakdown in organizations and at home. And oddly enough, most leaders or family members seem to know what they need to do, or have at least received some tools to do what needs to be done, yet they just don't do it. Many people say that it's lack of understanding. That's the number one common reason that I hear about communication breakdown. They just don't understand what I'm saying, or I don't understand what they're trying to say. Or put another way, people just don't fully understand what is being communicated. They don't understand the message. Now, people say things and hear things differently. You know, it's easy to comprehend a language barrier if the two people are speaking different languages, right? I mean, if I'm speaking English to somebody who speaks French, it's easy to see that we have a language barrier. However, what if both people are speaking English? Is it possible to have a language barrier even when two people are speaking the same exact language? Well, yes, it is. And that's what I want to talk about today. Have you ever heard of the golden rule? Now, the golden rule is basically to treat others the way that they. The golden rule basically says to treat others the way you want to be treated. It's actually a Bible verse from Matthew 7:12 that says, "In everything, do to others what you would have them do to you." Now, I recently heard a similar form of the golden rule that applies to how you treat others, and it is referred to by the John Maxwell team as the silver rule. And it basically says, treat others the way they want to be treated. So with both the golden rule and the silver rule in mind, I think we could take it one step further and apply it to communication. And say, communicate with others the way they want to be communicated with. Or maybe even better yet, say, when speaking to others, speak their language. Now, of course, that raises the question, how do you determine what their language is, right? How do you figure out what their specific language is, especially if you both speak English? Well, the easiest way that I've found to figure out people's language is to figure out where they fall on the DISC assessment. If you can determine what personality indicator they are on the DISC, you will instantly know their preferred language and how to speak to them the way they want to be spoken to. For instance, if a person is a D on the DISC, you'll want to speak to them clearly and quickly. Don't overwhelm them with information, and be in and out of their offices as quickly as possible. If you do that, the D personality will understand you perfectly, and they're going to love you for that. If you figure out the person is an I on the DISC personality, you'll want to be, man, this is terrible. If you figure out that a person is an I on the DISC, you'll want to allow plenty of time and allow them to do a lot of talking. And don't get too serious with an I, because you're going to lose them. And keep the conversation light and entertaining. Now, if you discover the person is an S on the DISC, you'll want to give them clear instructions and ask them clarifying questions to get them involved. Allow them to understand the benefit to the team of what you're trying to convert to them. Allow them to understand the benefit to the team, and don't put them on a spot by asking them to talk in front of a lot of other people. Finally, if you figure out the person is a C on the DISC, you'll want to provide them with as much information as possible, including all the technical aspects of whatever you're communicating, and give them plenty of time to process it. Do that, and your C personality will think you're the best communicator in the world. Hey, if you want to learn more about the DISC assessment, drop me an email at paulgrau, that's PAULGRAU, at currentleadershipcoaching.com, or give me a call at 501-743-5614. Hey, that's it for today. As always, thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and until tomorrow, run to your challenges. All right, man, I'm bit rusty today. So here's your value added. And sorry I screwed up so much. That was terrible. But just to go off script, away from the outline here, let me just tell you that when you figure out the DISC assessment, and it's not that difficult, all right? I can share a couple of simple questions, and how a person answers actually one question is going to tell you where they fall primarily in the DISC assessment. And like I said, a D you want to be short and sweet with, because the D's biggest fear is you wasting their time or taking advantage of them. So the quicker that you can get the point across to them, if you got to send them an email, send them a quick email with a couple bulleted statements and be done with it. Don't ramble on and on. The C, on the other hand, you want to provide them with as much detail as possible. The D, just provide them as much details as absolute necessary. Don't overload them with information, because D's are goers. They're doers. They don't like sitting there listening to somebody or reading long emails. Now, the I and the S, on the other hand, they're people-oriented, but the I loves to talk a lot. So maybe ask them a couple questions and guide them. Allow enough time when you go to talk to an I, though, because they love conversing with people. So they may, if you go into an I's office and you throw a couple things and give them some information, again, very minor amount of information, give them enough information that they know what you're talking about, and then let them talk about it. Ask them if they have any questions. They'll ask you what they need to know. And then finally, the S's are your most quiet, but they're your best listeners. So speak clearly to them, give them specific details on what needs to be done or how things need to be done, and they are going to absorb it all, and they're going to do it exactly how you want it. And they're going to make sure that if you can converse with them to involve other people, that's better, because your S's are your team-oriented people. They love being around other people, and they love, listening and just helping others. So your S's, though, you want to make sure you ask clarifying questions to get them talking, because a lot of times they're not going to ask questions even if they have sometimes. They may ask somebody else. So ask them pointed questions about what the information that you gave them. Do that, and man, you're golden. So here's how you figure out where people fall in the disc chart. Or you know what? I'm going to challenge you to do something. If you want to know that, go back in the podcast. And I did a whole week explaining the D, the I, the S, the C, and how to learn how to get to know where people fall in the disc. So go back and look in the podcast and find those episodes and listen. It'll take you, to listen to all 5 or 6 episodes that week, it's going to take you all of about maybe 15 minutes. All right, that's all of them. So I challenge you to go back and listen to that because I don't want to take any more of your time. I'm already 10 and a half minutes into this call. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, speak to people and communicate with people the way they want to be spoken to, the way they want you to communicate with you. That's a combination of the golden rule and the silver rule that John Maxwell team talks about. Have a great day, and until tomorrow, run to your challenges. We'll see you later.